Hey everyone, Mark Meckler here, president of Convention Estates, live with you for the BattleCry. You might notice I'm dressed up. I had a bunch of other media stuff going on. Normally for you guys, kind of dressed down. I dress in my normal clothes, which is just like a t-shirt and a ball cap or something. But today, we had to go with the blazer and the shirt. So I'm looking fancy. It's not fancy. It's just a normal BattleCry. So don't let it fool you. Not any smarter, not any better looking, not any better generally than usual. Just the BattleCry, which should be enough. Now, this week, we're going to have something on the BattleCry we have every week, which is the call to action, the thing that I think you need to do, that I do, because I don't ask you to do things that I don't do. And I need you this week to, wait for it, mow your lawn. Now, I know that seems weird that I'm asking you to mow your lawn. It's not because I'm such a fan of well-manicured gardens, or I think every suburban home needs to look great, or if you have more property that you need to be out on your tractor. I don't really mean mow your lawn. What I mean is take care of things at home. And this is really important for how we look at politics as conservatives. The first thing we have to do is make sure we've got our house right. You know, Jordan Peterson says, make your bed, clean your bedroom. And what he means by that is, yeah, make your bed. And I do mean, yeah, have a nicely mowed lawn. That's a good idea. But what I mean is make sure when you're acting politically that stuff is good at home. Make sure your city council is good. Make sure your county board is good. Make sure that your local mayor is good. Get involved in those things. You need to pay attention to those things, and you need to participate in those things so that we can make sure that our political system is healthy from the bottom up. It's not supposed to be top down. I love President Trump. I love a lot of the stuff he's doing, but he's not going to fix the country. You're going to fix the country. He can lead from the top down, but he can't make sure that your lawn is mowed or that your city council is good. Only you can do that. And so when I tell you to mow your lawn, I do mean, yeah, you know, go out, sit on the riding tractor if you got one of those, mow your lawn this weekend. Mine looks beautiful. I have to say, I've got a nice, you know, zero radius mower. I love that thing. I love getting out there, listening to podcasts, and then I mow my lawn and I make sure everything looks good at home. So get out there, mow your lawn. You'll make your husband or your wife happy if you mow your lawn. Your kids will like it. They can play out on the lawn more safely and with more fun if it's mowed. But the main thing is take care of things at home politically. Get involved locally. If you want to look at it in a biblical sense, it's Nehemiah, right? Rebuild the wall right where you live. So that's what I'm asking you to do. Get involved in politics locally, city council, school board, mayor's office, whatever it takes, local representative in the state legislature, but pay attention to things locally. It's easy to pay attention to the big, sexy things going on in Washington, D.C., or even all over the world, around the world, with Trump jetting all over the world. We'll talk a little bit about that. But the harder thing, in my opinion, the more important thing to do is pay attention to what's going on at home and mow your lawn. All right, let's start with a crazy thing that's in the news. I can't even believe how crazy this is. Why would somebody do this who should know better? James Comey, the former FBI director, apparently stacked shells or laid out shells in the sand. He was on vacation somewhere, and he set out 8647. What is he thinking? Right? This is not just some high school kid, college kid having beers with his buddies. This is the former director of the FBI, writes 8647 in the sand, and he posts that on his Instagram account as if that's a good idea. Social media is a disease, and it's obviously eaten his brain. 86 is a reference to killing somebody, right? When you say we're going to 86 somebody, we're going to kill them. And so he put 8647 in the sand, put it on his Instagram account. Millions of people see that. And now, and I think rightly so, he's being investigated by the Secret Service and the FBI for doing that. He has now deleted his entire Instagram account. And let me just say for the record, I just want to be accurate, right? And I want to say he's a moron. Like, how dumb do you have to be the former FBI director and think that it's a good idea on your Instagram account in front of millions of people to post 8647? And that clearly comes across as a threat, or at least implying that somebody should kill President Trump, a president who's already had, as far as we know, at least 2 very legitimate, very risky assassination attempts, probably many, many, many more threats we don't know about. And this is the Democrats encouraging violence. And it seems like they are just at a sort of soul level addicted to encouraging violence or actually committing violence. I don't know what Comey thought he was trying to do, why he thought this would be a good idea. I can't speak to his motives, but it's obviously stupid enough that he has now taken down his entire Instagram account. So let this be a warning to you. If you're a leftist, stop doing stupid things. If you're on the right, don't do stupid things, right? We don't do things like that. Don't make things, don't write things that can be implied as threats or look like threats. Always be cautious with your language. You can do a lot of damage with your language. The Bible tells us this, so be very, very careful. Not like James Comey. Don't be anything like James Comey. Don't be anything, in my opinion, like Democrats who seem to be incapable of honesty. Chuck Todd has written a book called Original Sin. Chuck Todd is a left-wing Democrat reporter, maybe a little better than a lot of the Democrat reporters out there, maybe a little bit more honest. He's written a book called Original Sin, which is all about the cover-up of Joe Biden's dementia. And you are probably as shocked as I am to learn that Joe Biden had dementia. Aren't you stunned? You mean Joe Biden wasn't with it during his entire term as president? You mean he was just sharp as a tack? You mean he was, like some of the commentators told us, the best Joe Biden ever? Right? Wasn't that from Morning Joe? They said it, best Joe Biden ever, sharpest, best ever. Because now we need an expose book to tell us that Joe Biden had dementia, because you are apparently too dumb to believe your lying eyes that Joe Biden's out there and he has dementia. We all knew he had dementia. And I cannot believe that anybody would buy Chuck Todd's book. I'm actually curious what he wrote, how he could explain that nobody apparently knew that Joe Biden had dementia. But I'm not going to buy the book because I'm not going to make this guy richer for telling us what we already knew and what he and everybody else was hiding. He's now admitted, by the way, that it was being hidden. He's now admitted that it was being hidden by the media. Oh, wait, isn't he a member of the media? I'm pretty sure he's a member of the media. So he's admitted all this stuff. And the questions are now being asked all over the place. Why would anybody ever trust Democrats? I was actually watching CNN. Yes, you can give me your sympathy now because it is hard to watch CNN, but I do because I have to know what they're saying. It's part of my job. I was watching CNN and they were grilling Hakeem Jeffries, the minority leader in the House of Representatives, asking him, well, didn't everybody know that Biden had dementia? And you know what Hakeem Jeffries did for 2 minutes? I got to give credit to those. They pressed him, not hard enough, but they did press him. Well, but you knew, but everybody knew. But why didn't you say anything? But why didn't you do it? And what he did, he would not answer the questions. He literally would not answer the questions. He said, well, we as Democrats, we're not looking back. We're looking forward. And he would just pivot. And I think what the host should have said is, yeah, we understand all that, but you lied. Yeah, we understand all that, but you misled the American people. Yeah, we understand all that, but you said Joe Biden was fine. That's what they should have done. They were not hard enough on him, but they did press him for a couple of minutes, and he simply refused to answer. And this seems to be the general method of the Democrats right now. Everybody's asking the question, how come you didn't do anything? How come you didn't say that Joe Biden had dementia? How come you didn't demand that he not be the president? How come you didn't invoke the 25th Amendment? How come you let him run as long as you let him run? How come we didn't replace him earlier? How come nobody knew? Everybody knew. Who didn't know? Like literally everybody knew. Joe Biden knew. Jen Psaki knew. His chief of staff knew. All the staffers around him knew. Everybody in Congress knew. Everybody in the media knew. Every American knew. If you didn't know, I hate to reuse a word I already used in the first segment, but if you didn't know, if you paid attention to politics at all, and you didn't know Joe Biden had dementia, then you're a moron. Then I just want to encourage you, please don't vote. Like you couldn't see that the old man who couldn't walk, who couldn't speak, who wandered off at events, that guy, if you couldn't see he had dementia, then you don't vote. You should not vote. You're too stupid to vote. You're not capable of voting. You're not observant enough to vote. I would doubt maybe you could even find your way to the polling stations, except for they send you an absentee ballot in blue states. And so you are voting. You should not vote if you're so dumb that you didn't know that Joe Biden had dementia. We all knew, and now there's a tell-all book to tell us all what we all know, that Joe Biden had dementia. It is having an effect, by the way, out there in the public. Only 35% of Democrats have a favorable view of their party's future. 35%. Here's what I want to know. In that 35%, how hard are they drinking? What are they drinking? Like pure grain alcohol on a Monday morning? When were they polled? Maybe they polled all these people at frat parties on a Friday night, because I don't understand how 35% of the Democrat Party could think they have a favorable future. Based on what? Transing the kids? Is that the issue? Because it's an 80-20 issue against transing the kids. Is it hormone blockers that they love so much? Is it men in women's restrooms that they love so much, this 35%? Is it men in women's sports, boys and girls sports, crushing boys? I saw it again in Illinois this week. A boy wins a state event against girls. Look at the images. Go out and look this thing up. He's a dude running against young girls. What would you do if you were a dad in that situation? I guess if you're one of the 35% of these Democrats that think that the party has a bright future, you would probably cheer on the boy that is smacking down your girl in this track event. But I just don't know how 35% of people can believe right now that the Democrats have a good future. Now, I would say to the Republicans, don't get cocky. Like, I don't necessarily feel like the Republicans have such a bright future either. I don't think that Republicans are all that great. I look at Republicans, what they're doing in Congress. Not much, really. What are they doing, really? I mean, there are some fighters out there. There's people like my friend Chip Roy from Texas, who I think is fighting the good fight, but most people aren't. They're going to pass the president's big, beautiful bill. I think maybe that's the best they can do under the circumstances, but it's nothing to be proud of. It's nothing that's going to rally the base. I saw this week that the Republican caucus, the House Republican caucus, put out a tweet that said it's time for Republican voters to get off the sidelines. What? Are you kidding me? Like, this is the Republican Party. I said the Democrat Party's in bad state, but look at the Republican Party. They're attacking their own voters. Wait, aren't Republican voters the ones who gave them the House, the Senate, and the White House? And the voters are supposed to get off the sidelines? Isn't this the same House of Representatives that's knocking off early every week, that's not doing Friday sessions, sometimes not doing Monday sessions, that's sort of working part-time? Isn't this the same Republican House doing all that? Isn't this the same Republican House that doesn't seem to be able to cut a cent of spending, that can't actually put any of the DOGE cuts into law, that can't take any of these executive orders and turn them into law? And they're telling us to get off the sidelines? I don't think you're on the sidelines. Are you on the sidelines? I didn't see you on the sidelines. I might not have seen you on the sidelines because I'm not on the sidelines either. I think we're in the game. And I think we're trying to encourage them to get in the game, and they're not in the game. So I know this doesn't look good for Democrats. Only 35% have a favorable view of the party's future. I'd be curious what the numbers are of Republicans. I'm not very favorable about Republicans' future. I love what President Trump is doing. There are people I like in the Republican Party, but the party writ large, I don't see them doing anything that I'm so proud of. So I wonder what the numbers would be of Republicans that think their party has such a bright future. I just don't think it would be that great. So it's crazy in politics, whether you're dealing at the local level or the national level. I think it's even crazier if you're dealing at the international level. Maybe you've been following what's going on in the Middle East this week, if you care about that kind of stuff. I do, because I think geopolitics matters to us here at home. I don't think we can just hide our head in the sand and go away from the world. I think the whole world actually matters for what happens here in the United States. It's all interconnected. So I have been paying attention. President Trump did a trip to the Middle East. I think he looked good. Not just looked, but I mean, I liked what he did in the Middle East in a lot of ways. I think he came in strong. He was clearly the big dog in the room, got a standing ovation in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, was paid, in my opinion, the proper respect. The Arabs, the Saudis agreed to invest, I think, $600 billion in the United States, as are other Arab nations. So I think that's a good thing. President Trump said commerce over chaos. He's good with words. I think that's a good slogan, commerce over chaos. Get the countries trading, get them involved in the Abraham Accords, build commerce instead of chaos, right? We want trade instead of terrorism. That was just mine. He's better at it than me, but I had to throw that in there. I think trade over terrorism is a good idea. So super interesting. Goes to Saudi Arabia, warms relations with Saudi Arabia. Joe Biden famously hated the Saudis. Now the Saudis have turned into great allies of the U.S. right now. I use allies in air quotes because, I would say philosophically not necessarily perfectly aligned with the United States, certainly not a democratically driven country. Certainly not free and fair elections. It's a monarchy there, but I think you're going to have monarchies in the Middle East for a long time to come. They don't have the historical foundation in most of the countries there to have democracy, to have the freedoms that we have. It takes a long time and building up of a lot of philosophy and a lot of infrastructure over hundreds, maybe 1,000 years to get to that point. I think about how long Great Britain was a monarchy until it became a democracy. So it takes a long time to build the foundation, but Saudi Arabia is more of an ally than a lot of other places there. Israel is an ally, then our greatest ally, I would argue, in the Middle East by far. And now President Trump is trying to work to make Syria an ally. Now, I question this. I don't know if this is possible. The leader of Syria, President Trump, apparently met with him, shook his hand. The leader of Syria 6 months ago had a $10 million bounty on his head from the United States as a leader of and related to ISIS and Al Qaeda. And now Trump is there shaking his hand. I think what he's trying to do is help to create alignment between Saudi Arabia and Syria. Syria has been taken over by radical Islamists controlled by Erdogan in Turkey, who is a radical Islamist. And he's trying to create a relationship between Saudi Arabia and Syria, right? These are Shia Muslims, and the Iranians are Sunni Muslims. And there's a lot of friction there. And so I think he's trying to help create the Shia bloc of Muslims. I think he wants to bring all of them into the Abraham Accords. He was also in Qatar, making nice with the Qataris. Again, I question this. I question it because the Qataris are bad players. They're dishonest players. They play both sides. They are the biggest funders of Hamas. They are the proxy for Iran. And so I struggle with that a little bit. But here's what I say about the whole thing wrapped up in a nutshell, in a nice, neat package. Something that's hard to package up neatly is right now, I'm going to trust Donald Trump. I think he's smarter than me at this stuff. I think he's a better negotiator than I am. I think he knows what he's doing, even when I don't understand what he's doing. So I will question these things because there are things I don't understand that don't make sense to me. Playing footsie with the Qataris, I don't get it. Playing footsie with the Syrians, I don't necessarily get it. But I'm going to trust President Trump because I voted for him. And I elected him, and the people elected him in the popular vote and the Electoral College. And I'm going to give him the room to play this thing out. He's the cook in the kitchen. Let's let him keep cooking and see what happens. So far, in my opinion, the things that he's done have turned out pretty well. So the biggest thing I would say about the Middle East, don't panic. It is what it is. It'll be different 2 weeks or 3 weeks from now. He's certainly putting pressure on the Iranians. I hope he doesn't do something like the JCPOA, the Biden nuclear deal with the Iranians. I worry about Witkoff in there. But again, I'm going to trust Trump. He said they can't have a nuclear program. I'm going to trust what Trump says. We'll see where it comes out in the end. The Middle East is definitely in turmoil. There's fighting in Gaza. People are claiming Israelis are starving Palestinians. I just want to say this is outrageous. The Israelis have put in at least 3,000 calories worth of nutrition per day per Palestinian since the beginning of the conflict. And unfortunately, most of that gets stolen by Hamas. So if there are hungry Palestinians, that's because Hamas steals their food, not because the Israelis are not providing food. If there are Palestinians that go out without medical care, that's because of Hamas. The Israelis accept them into all the Israeli hospitals. They treat them exactly the same as Israelis. If they're starving, if they're sick, if they're without water, that is strictly 100% because of Hamas. And let us not forget that they slaughtered 1,200 innocent people in Israel, including old people, women, children. They tortured them. They took hostages. They raped. They murdered. I'm talking infants, babies. They threw babies in ovens. I mean, this is just disgusting, vile stuff. They're responsible for every bit of carnage that takes place in Gaza, for not just carnage against the Israeli people, and they're still attacking the Israeli people, but for the carnage in Gaza itself. It would have never happened. There was a ceasefire. There was a truce. Hamas attacked Israel. And when you attack another sovereign country, when you breach a wall, when you slaughter innocent civilians, when you take hostages, you don't dictate the terms of the settlement. You don't dictate the terms of the fight. I'm 100% with Israel on this. And it has nothing to do except with the fact that Israel is right. 100% morally, ethically, honorably right. They fight the cleanest warfare in an urban environment any country in history has ever done. They're required to fight in an urban area because that's where Hamas hides, in hospitals, in schools, in mosques. So when you see Israel on rare occasion attack those things, then I have a choice. Those have become military targets. And by the way, by the law of war, by international law, if you hide weapons in a church or a mosque, if you hide weapons in headquarters in a school, in a university, those things are legitimate targets. And the Israelis are operating according to all international rules. I'm disgusted by those who go after them for defending themselves against these evil terrorists. Let's talk broadly speaking what Trump is doing, the Middle East, the economy. I mean, I think this is a time of Trump triumph. It's absolutely incredible. When you look at what's going on in the economy, remember a few weeks ago, everybody was panicking. We're going into recession. Inflation is going to spike. It's going to be crazy. Well, all the rating agencies have removed their risk of recession. They've lowered them. I think the highest I saw now is 45%. They were up to like 85% 3 weeks ago. The panicans, as Trump called them, have been proven wrong again. The Dow Jones and the NASDAQ have recovered virtually everything that they've lost. The people who panicked and sold lost money. I'm glad to say I wasn't one of them. I hope you weren't one of them. If you wrote it out, you're doing pretty well right now in the stock market. It's fantastic that you're doing that. So just don't panic, right? The economy showed 2.3% inflation on an annualized basis. That's a little bit too high. The Fed shoots for a maximum of 2%. But it's down. This is as low as it's been since 2021. So things are looking pretty good. If you look at what happened during the last quarter of Joe Biden's presidency, all the job gains he claimed were erased in revised numbers. We have incredible job numbers right now, higher than anybody expected by about 25%. So right now things look good. Look, I want to be honest. I'm always nuanced with you guys. I think there's still storm clouds on the horizon. I think some of the tariff stuff has yet to come home to roost. Tariffs are still overall about triple what they were before Liberty Day was declared. And so that's going to work its way through the economy and prices are going to raise if those stay in place. Trump seems to be backing off a lot of that stuff, getting what he wants from our trading partners. And so got a big deal with the UK. It looks like we're working on a deal with China. That's the big one. I think it's all going to work out fine. But the key is you and I don't react to every bit of news. We don't panic. We just chill out. And we just let it happen, right? That's the way things have to unfold. And so you have to be patient. You look at the economy was going to tank. Now it's good. You look at the Middle East is in flames. Now it seems to be getting better. Things so far, so good. Be patient. All right, next up, we have a video from Congress. That's never the most exciting thing. I think this one doesn't qualify as exciting either. But Producer G had something he wanted me to comment on, so let's take a look at this.
Mr. Stubbe, no. Miss Tinney. Miss Tinney, no. Mrs. Fishbach. Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore.
Oh, I can't believe she's not poking him. Why doesn't she? There, look, she's going to poke him. Oh, wow, me? Sorry, man. I was out cold.
Mr. Moore, no.
Too hard last night. Yeah. Oh, look at him just laugh.
Miss Van Dyne.
I try to fix his tie. Oh, look at that. Debbie Dingle, head fully back. She is out cold. That's your Congress. Your tax dollars hard at work for you. Those hearings are really important, aren't they? Yeah, they're so important. We got congressmen so asleep that when their names are called, they don't even wake up. Mr. Moore, you know what that reminds me? Remember Ferris Bueller's Day Off? Did you guys see that movie? One of my favorite all-time movies. And the teacher's calling on people. Bueller. Mr. Moore. Yeah, this is what you pay for. You pay their salary so that they can sleep during hearings. Now, to be fair, it was late at night. That stuff's insanely boring. I would probably fall asleep too, but I'm not getting paid to do it. I just think that's your Congress hard at work for you. Do we need term limits? Do we need to kick some of these guys out of Congress? I think we do. That's why you need to support Convention of States. So we're talking about term limits. Is it too early to talk about 2028? I don't think so. Is it too early to talk about 2026? I don't think so. 26 is closer. Let's start with 2026. 2026 is going to be an important year. It's a midterm election. Usually the party in power loses midterm elections. If that happens to the Republicans, the Trump agenda is cooked. And so Republicans got to get on their game. They got to run good races. They got to have good candidates up in the midterms, or they're going to lose the House of Representatives and maybe the Senate. Right now, the numbers look good for Republicans. Right now, their favorability rating is higher than Democrats. Right now, the map looks good for Republicans. The question is, what do they do? Republicans are extraordinarily good at grabbing defeat from the jaws of victory. So we'll see if they can hold on, if they can actually increase their majority. Be smart. It requires you and me to be involved. I'm just telling the Republicans to be smart, choose good candidates. I'll give you an example of a place I'm super worried about. This has nothing to do with Congress. This has to do with state elections. But in Virginia, I thought Virginia had a good chance to go all red, all again, to get a Republican governor, a Republican lieutenant governor, Republican House, and a Republican Senate. And now what do I think? Not looking good in Virginia. What are you guys doing there? Right? You got a candidate, a guy that is apparently a gay pornographer running for lieutenant governor on the Republican side. That seems like a bad thing. I don't care what party you're with. If you're a gay pornographer, you probably shouldn't be elected to the lieutenant governor's position. You got the governor's candidate, who's Winsome Sears, who I like personally a lot. I like her policy positions. I like who she is. She's running a terrible campaign. I'm just going to be honest. We can be honest about our own. She needs to up her game. She's not good on the campaign trail right now. If you watch her speeches, you'll look like one of these people in Congress. Here's what she's running on. I'm a black woman. I would be the first black woman governor of Virginia. Do you care? I don't care about that. I like her because she's conservative. She's a veteran. She's good on the Second Amendment. She's good on parents' rights. That's why I care. That's the only reason I would vote for Winsome Sears if I lived in Virginia. I don't care that she's a black woman. Why is she playing identity politics to the Republican base? That seems stupid, and that seems like a bad campaign. And she's not campaigning dynamically. She's not campaigning aggressively. She's campaigning on the wrong issues. She doesn't seem to have a good platform. So we got that, the gay pornographer. And I think that's going to affect down ticket, and I worry we're going to lose the legislature too. This could be a lost opportunity in Virginia. Y'all get your act together and fix all this stuff before November if you can. Also worry, I love the Attorney General, Jason Miyares there. I think he's one of the best in the country. I worry this ticket is going to drag him down. He's going to lose his election too. I don't want that to happen. I want them to win in Virginia. You all got to get your act together. 2026 is an important year. It's going to be, that's 2025, by the way, the Virginia election. That's like right now. That's this year. 2026 is the congressional midterms. I'm worried about it. We need not to take anything for granted. We need to help elect people that believe what we believe. We need to have more conservatives in Congress, clearly, if they're ever going to cut spending, if they're ever going to make DOGE cuts permanent, if they're ever going to make any of these reforms that the president's making permanent. We need a bigger Republican majority in Congress to do those things. Are we going to get it? I don't know. We'll see what happens. 2028. This is interesting. President Trump commented on 2028. He was asked who his successor is going to be. Is it going to be J.D. Vance? And he said, look, I don't know. It's too early to say. I don't really want to say. J.D.'s an extraordinary vice president doing an amazing job. And the vice president's usually the natural front runner. He said, but, Marco's doing a great job too. I love the fact that he elevated Marco Rubio. And I have to say, Marco Rubio is doing a great, amazing, incredible job as Secretary of State. And so he will have senatorial experience. He will have national experience, international experience. He could be a hot prospect. And if it's not for president, maybe for vice president. I think 28 is going to be interesting. Too early to really talk about it, honestly. I'm just talking about it because it got brought up with Trump. And Trump did the right thing, and he deferred the question. And he elevated a whole bunch of people. All right, let's switch to what's going on in COS this week. There's a lot going on, but things are slowing down because it's the end of the session. So we don't have near as many states going on. Ohio just set a hearing for proponent testimony coming up soon. We'll tell you exactly when that's going to be. You can go to conventionofstates.com and look that up. Mike Ferris is going to be there for that testimony. Ohio Looks good because we've got both houses with leadership in favor of convention of states. We'll see if they actually do something. We have North Carolina pending right now. We passed the House. We're pending in the Senate. I am praying hard. Our North Carolina team is working so hard to make that happen. That would be state number 20. I think we can get it done. Yesterday, I was in Hattiesburg, Mississippi for a great town hall, great attendance, great grassroots. There's nothing I like better than getting out with the grassroots. So to all of you in Mississippi that came out and said hi, had great questions, had a great time together, thank you guys for being there. Super appreciate it. All right, a few things before we get to Q&A. I want to tell you, remind you, always hit the like button, subscribe, ring the notification bell. All those things are important so that we can spread the word. Send this to at least 2 of your friends. Let them see the BattleCry and enjoy it with you. Sign our open letter to Elon Musk at conventionofstates.com/Musk. Also, our open letter to President Trump at conventionofstates.com/Trump. Go to Article 5 Outfitters. You should be starting to get ready for Father's Day. We're going to have some Father's Day specials, but go to shopconventionofstates.com. That's shopconventionofstates.com. And if you want to ask a question, and I will answer it, go to conventionofstates.com/askmark. Randy Kopp asked, Mark, do you believe the Republicans in Congress will pass legislation to keep these rogue judges in line? Nope. No, I don't think they will. I think they should. I think that's the best place to deal with these DC nationwide injunctions, district court nationwide injunctions. Congress should put new rules in place. There's all kinds of things we can do. They can make any rules they want. I'd like to see something. Maybe you need 4 districts to all agree that there's a nationwide injunction before there's a nationwide injunction. That's one way to do it. They could create a new court, which is the Nationwide Injunction Court, which is just made up of randomly selected DC court judges pulled from a panel pool. And you need to get, say, I don't know whether you need unanimous, 5 out of 8, what you would do, but you could set up so there's a new court that does nothing but look at the potential for nationwide injunctions on a nonpartisan basis. That would prevent judge shopping. So there are a bunch of things Congress can do. Will they do any of it? It's nonpartisan. They should, but I don't think they will. Alfonso Tedeschi says, as the COS movement advances, the opposition will drain their dark money to stop it. The opposition uses paid influencers to lobby legislatures. But why? What's so wrong with citizens getting a chance to propose amendments? You look, the left does it because they love centralized government. They are statists and they want control in Washington, D.C. It's easier to influence government if all the power is in D.C. Imagine if you take that power and you dissemble it out of Washington, D.C., and you put it in state capitals. Now they have to fight in 50 state capitals. They don't like that. They would rather have one-size-fits-all legislation. They are statists. They are centralizers. That's why the left doesn't want you to participate in this process. Jim Boschute says, Mark, help me to understand how and where to truly fight. It's not written in the stars or anywhere plainly. What specifically do you want of us? When, where, and how? Jim, what I'm looking for is for you to join your state team and to make a plan. Every state makes a state strategy every year and then to follow and execute on that strategy. It's going to involve things like a surge day at your capital. It's going to involve things like getting district captains, controlling each district, getting people to contact their state legislatures. Every state has a plan for action in that state. Sometimes that plan involves helping other states that are moving. Maybe you're in a state that's already passed the COS resolution, and we're going to ask you to help in a state that has not yet passed it. So there's all kinds of stuff, but it's very specific state by state. So go to conventionofstates.com and then sign the petition. And once you do that, go to the Take Action tab at the top, volunteer. You're going to get contacted by another volunteer. They'll get you plugged in. It's not written in the stars. They'll tell you what you need to do and where you need to do it to volunteer. And I'll close with that. That's the most important thing. Jim asked the right question. What do I do? My answer to you, go to conventionofstates.com, sign the petition, click the Take Action tab at the top, and volunteer today. God bless you guys. We'll see you next week on the BattleCry.